Just waiting to see if this is. There we go. I see some people. Hello, brother Keith Simpson. How you doing? TT Free, sweetest princess. Denise Marie Ramirez. My apologies. Hello. How are you? Good evening, you guys. Let me know if my audio is okay. I don't have a mic. I am literally let's do this. I'm sitting outside because it is a beautiful night. I just picked my babies up from Bible study and I wanted to do an informal live stream. I don't have notes. Now I do have my iPad here, but when I turn it on, y'all see that? The light. Let's look at it. See, that's not good. So I won't be able to use that. But oh, thank you, Siobhan. To God be the glory. Thank you. I'm glad that you're finding value over here, over on Unshakable with April Chapman. Hey, Eric, good to see you. Sister Sylvia, hi, how are you, beautiful? Okay, hi, everybody. Okay, hey, New York City is in the house. Kingston girl. You guys know me. I've been creating content regularly on this channel since January 1 of 2022. And I pretty much stay in my lane. I cover the culture. I cover social things. I cover political things. And I dip my foot into the theological sides of the street. And I do all of that. And I bring my biblical perspective in my own way. And as many of you know, I tend to keep and levy my criticism and really harsh commentary for false teachers like wolves, individuals who would malign the name of Christ and who go out of their way to be deceptive. So this live stream is a little different. It's a little different in that we're not dealing with some false teaching wolf or an apostate, or we're not dealing with a political figure that is mishandling their position by deceiving the masses in an effort to, control them and subjugate them. We're actually going to be talking about a cultural icon tonight that I've done very little content on. Outside of me providing commentary when Candace Owens converted to Catholicism, I did a review of the debate that she brokered between Allie Beth Stuckey and her husband. Outside of that, I very rarely utter Candace Owens' name on my channel. I've only met Candace a few times in passing. Saw her most recently in Fort Lauderdale on election night down at Deviating. But outside of that, I don't know Candace that way. Now, I was active and one of the first members of the leadership team of Blexic, Georgia, back in its infant stages. I was the assistant state director and then I was the advisor. And I talk about my Blexic days in a very positive light because I'm a professional and that's what professionals do. If you have fundamental ideological disagreements with somebody, you just take the mature approach and you keep whatever it is you feel about the situation, you keep it to yourself, right? Because that's professional decorum. That's what you do. But I'm going to make an exception. Right, I'm going to make an exception tonight, and I'm going to speak from the heart as a wife and as a member of the Christian Conservative Influencer Community. Pardon my menopausal brain. Sometimes, I don't know if y'all notice, I will use words that don't necessarily fit the context because my mind is moving a mile a minute. So if I do it and you know what I meant, just go with it, okay? I'm making an exception tonight. As you know, Charlie Kirk was recently assassinated in a very public and brutal and heinous way. And all of us grieve in different ways. But tonight's video is from the perspective of a wife. Like, I am somebody's wife, and I am in direct contact and close connection with so many other individuals who are males, who are my peers, who are my colleagues that I love and respect. So this perspective is going to be from someone who understands what it's like to navigate in circles with the opposite gender, and also from someone who has dealt extensively with narcissists and narcissism. Okay? I don't want to make this personal. I really don't. And I have avoided talking about this, but it's to the point now that I need to say something. And I don't care if the Candaceites, right, her followers, her beehive of sycophants who are holding on to every single word that she says as if it is the gospel of truth. You are free to have your opinion. But it doesn't make what I'm about to say any less true. So I'd like to start off with the story. Y'all know I'm good for a good story. So I want to paint a picture for you. Can you imagine when you come to this awakening and you are discovering new ideologies and a new worldview, and you're kind of wet behind the ears and you're bright-eyed and your bushy tail, and you find that one individual that's like your cultural muse, that person that just gets you. Y'all are finishing each other's sentences. You know, you're both a part of this movement, and y'all are as thick as thieves, and that's like your ride or die. Well, I would say that from a cultural and political perspective, Charlie Kirk was that to Candace Owens. They were friends. Thank you so much for that super chat. I appreciate it. I will address all the super chats all at one time. Thank you so much, the L Factor. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know it's going to be a big problem for Christian conservatives. Please check DMs. Absolutely. I'll do my best. It's a lot of them. Okay. If I spend all my time checking DMs, I'd never make content for you guys. So y'all got to be patient with me on the DM checking. But as I was saying, I believe that Charlie Kirk was that muse for Candace. They were friends. They worked alongside one another, building something amazing, and just created this magical movement that was a force to be reckoned with the millennial and Gen Z generation. And so when I see Candace come out and, pay tribute to her friend, it makes sense. But I'm noticing some things that just don't sit well with me as a wife. And I'm also noticing some things that are just completely inconsistent with the narrative, the shareable narrative that she's creating on her channel and on social media against the backdrop of reality. So I'll talk about those things when I finish my story. So imagine you meet your cultural and political muse, and y'all are building this organization, and y'all are traveling together, making content together, fundraising together. I mean, you're in the trenches before anybody really has a lot of money. It's just the grassroots of it all. And then that individual meets someone. He meets the love of his life. She's a beauty queen, like literally, like a former beauty queen. And I did some research and I pulled a timeline. Dating back to 2018 to try to figure out what is motivating Candace Owens to say the things that she is saying, to cast aspersions and to imply in so many words that she won't say this outright, but she'll put enough doubt out into the ether to get people questioning, saying, well, I don't trust Erica Kirk. It's something in her eyes that just seems off. And, perhaps Turning Point may have something to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination. We don't know who's to say. And then add on top of that her anti-Israel hatred, and just you put it all together, and it's like a narcissistic it's the musings of an individual who is not tethered to reality, and who is grieving almost the loss of a lover as opposed to a friend, but is grieving the loss of a lover that they kind of broke up like a really long time ago, but they want to lead everyone to believe that they were besties. And I find that so interesting, because I was at Charlie Kirk's memorial. I have friends within the Turning Point organization, and I know for a fact that they don't think very favorable of Mrs. Owens' pharma. Okay, that's just the truth. They don't. There were no images of her and Charlie during those early days in the infant stages of TPUSA anywhere at the memorial. There was no footage shared of Candace Owens from the early days. Not an image, not a video, not a soundbite. I just, thought that was strange. I also think it is strange that she continues to assert that Charlie was her best friend, as if Charlie Kirk didn't have like a whole wife who's publicly asserted that Charlie was her best friend. You see, I know what it's like to collaborate with an individual that becomes obsessed with you, and they may never come out and tell you that they feel about you more than just friendly professional camaraderie. They may not ever say it, but their actions and the way they opine about you publicly leads everyone to believe, like, what is wrong with you? Like, why are you acting like this? You sound like a jilted lover, not a friend who's mourning the death of a friend. I've had run-ins with narcissists who, when they've lost you, or i.e. when you walked away from them, you disconnect, you disengage, you unsubscribe, you completely say, this no longer serves me, you are unhealthy. I'm going to go over here. I wish you well. Don't wish nothing bad on you. But I'm over here living my life, and you do what you need to do over there. I know what it's like to see a person crash out when that happens. And in my opinion, I believe what we are witnessing is the utter crash out of someone who is still feeling some sort of kind of way, because Charlie was her dream man. That was her dream boo. They built Turning Point together, and then he meets the beauty queen, right? And it wasn't supposed to happen that way. What was supposed to happen is that they were supposed to build Turning Point, and they were supposed to be the power couple. And it didn't turn out that way, because from the moment Charlie Kirk met Erica to interview her for a job, he instantly knew, oh no, I don't want to give you a job. I'm trying to make you my wife. I'm trying to date you. That is a matter of public record. And if the timeline that I've pulled serves me right, give me a moment while I access said timeline. I got a little time today. Okay. The timeline that I have pulled, where are you? Here we go. Nope, that's not it either. I gotta access it. Give me a second. The timeline that I'm going to pull seems strangely coincidental. See, what I've realized that as a Christian, discernment goes beyond the spiritual. You kind of just have to use your discernment and ask more questions. because Candace is making a whole lot of assertions, and she never provides any proof. She just casts enough doubt to make you want to run with the narrative. And the next thing you know, you're looking at Turning Point USA a certain kind of way. You're looking at his wife a certain kind of way. You're looking at Israel a certain kind of way. Mind you, the letter that BB, I know I'm a little all over the place and I'm skipping around. I'm going to come back, but BB Netanyahu releases the letter, and we've yet to see Candace actually engage with the letter that she alleged was being misrepresented, and that all roads leads to Israel, and that somehow, some way, if you turn your head and squint your eye and clutch yourself real tight, that Israel has something to do with this. But anyway, we're not going to go there. Let me just pull up this timeline that I want to share with you guys, allow you to be the judge. I want you to think for yourself. I don't want to tell you what to think. I want you to fact find, listen to arguments that are presented, and then make your own assessment at that point. Where the heck is this email? Let me pull this timeline up. Hold on. Is this it? Yep, got it. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it, you guys. I really do. So Charlie met Erica in 2018. And this was also the same year that Candace met George through a Turning Point UK connection, right? Charlie and Erica go on their first date September 2018. And later that year, George proposes to Candace very quickly and very abruptly. And then in February 2019, in May of 2019, Candace announces her resignation as communications director of Turning Point USA. August of the same year, Candace and George get married. December 2020, Charlie proposes to Erica. And then the timeline goes on, but Candace has not been intimately connected with TPUSA for a very, very long time. And it seems to me, this is my opinion, that coincidentally when Charlie met Erica, from what I know about Candace and her mean girl, narcissistic, I must be the chick on top, she doesn't take kindly. She don't play second fiddle to anybody. And there ain't enough room in the organization for her, Erica, and her ego, like Candace's ego. So there's distance, and then Charlie's untimely assassination, and then all of a sudden we are hearing stories about Charlie being her bestie, and that she knows all of these things about Charlie, yet no one at TPUSA can affirm and corroborate this close kinsman affection that they've had in later years. My thing is, if you was his best friend, I don't see where you are the godmother of any of his children. I didn't see pictures of you guys doing date nights together as a couple. We didn't see any close connection or participation from Candace in the Kirk's life, professionally or personally. So for me, as a wife, I have grave issue and concern with another woman inappropriately opining over another woman's husband, asserting that she is his best friend and she is the only arbiter of truth, and then attempting to cast doubt and aspersion on the character of said wife when said wife is grieving. How vile and disrespectful do you have to be to make the kind of content that would even remotely put the thought in people's minds that his wife had something to do with it? I'm of the opinion that you wish you were Mrs. Kirk, but because the chips didn't fall and land that way, you had to settle for your Timu knockoff version, the UK version of a Charlie Kirk. He was close enough. And I'm also concerned that your husband has not reeled in your mouth and caused you to zip it, not because you should not be allowed to voice your opinion or concern surrounding what may or may not have happened, but out of respect for his family. It is rude. It is disrespectful. It's very mean girl narcissistic. It is obvious no one can control this woman. Her own husband can't even keep her in check. I just finished watching an old video of Candace and Charlie when she was still with PragerU, and she was interviewing him, and there's a sparkle in her eye. I'm not, I get it. The dream team is we think it's thieves. But to sit and say the things that she is saying without respecting and giving deference to Charlie's wife, and then a lot of the things that Candace is saying can be easily disproven if you just take the time to think. Like, if you remove yourself from the conspiracy theory rabbit trail that she takes you on, you will not land where she's landing. You're just not. And it bothers me. And I have personally talked to individuals at TPUSA, and I'm like, y'all need to get this heifer off the website. It's time. She got to go. She got to go. I'm sorry. I've never publicly explained why I disconnected from a leadership perspective from Blexic, but those who are close to me know. You know who you are. If you are watching and you were there in those early days, you know exactly why. I said I can no longer serve as assistant state director of this organization precisely because of Candace's mouth. I felt like someone needed to censure her and reel her in and provide her some sort of wisdom and guidance to say that everything that's on your mind, you don't always have to say. Sometimes there's a time and place for everything. And Turning Point right now is being very gracious. They're being incredibly gracious by not responding to a narcissist, because when you respond to a narcissist, that gives them attention, which is what they want. They live for the engagement. They live for the chaos. And so on one aspect, I applaud them for not answering a fool according to her folly. But then in the next breath, I'm like, sometimes you have to answer a fool according to her folly. I have no doubt that one day Erica Kirk is going to come out and say what needs to be said. But the question that I want to ask you guys, the audience, is, it's not a coincidence that there were no images of Candace Owens anywhere during Charlie's memorial. None of the content that they've shared as of late to try to remember the good times of Charlie. They don't share her stuff. And there's reason for that. I believe, once again, this is my opinion, I believe that Candace Owens wishes she was Mrs. Charlie Kirk. She is supposed to be the CEO of that organization. How dare this beauty queen who simply applied for a job one day walk away with the kingpin? She didn't put in the time and the blood and the sweat and the tears. She went on the Chitlin circuit with them during those early days, sleeping in all kinds of motels here, there, and everywhere, raising funds. If I think about it, if you were there from the beginning, sorry, I don't mean to shake this, in the early days, and then here comes this beauty queen, pretty blonde. Y'all, Erica fine, I'm sorry. I don't know if y'all seen her when she was Miss Arizona, but Erica, I'm a female, and I don't look at women in that way. I'm just saying, she's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful inside and out. Her and Charlie shared the same worldview. He didn't have to, do a whole lot of detoxing her from any liberalism or anything like that. She came prepackaged and preloaded with the proper defaults just for him. Candace, on the other hand, was still evolving in her worldview. And while we don't want to take away from what she helped Charlie build, you do have to ask yourself, why would she publicly make the kind of content she's making and say the things that she is saying, sounding like a jilted lover as opposed to a dear and genuine friend who cares about his wife, cares about his children, and actually cares about TPUSA? Why would she make this content? Why would she say the things that she is saying without, notice, she does not provide evidence. She simply introduces a narrative, asks questions, and then you're forced to come to the conclusion that she wants you to come to. That's all that this is. And before her people come in this chat talking about, have you watched all her videos? I'm not about to sit and watch 1,511 hours of this chick on the internet talking crazy. I have things to do. I have my own content to make. I'm telling you what I know as a wife. Ain't no way I would allow if there's no way. No. As a wife, I'd be sitting looking at you like you're crazy. Why don't you just come out and say you wish that you were Mrs. Kirk and you're mad that you weren't. So now you're out here crashing out, claiming and making assertions that are baseless and unfounded, as if Turning Point was really about to bring you back. That was not happening. That was not going to happen. They were no. And so I am perturbed. I am annoyed. I think it is disrespectful. It is poor taste. And it tells me, I don't doubt that she loved Charlie Kirk, but the kind of love she had for Charlie Kirk isn't the kind that acts this way. Because if it was truly agape, brotherly, charitable love, you'd have more respect for his widow and his children. And I don't see that at all. I don't see it at all. And so I have avoided saying anything about this for the simple fact that I really don't, getting back in a tit for tat, it's not what I do. I'm just saying I have enough experience with narcissists who crash out when they're losing control and they can no longer control the narrative, and they want to be the end all be all and everything. They have to be the arbiter of truth. And when they no longer are getting what they want, or if you have, what is the word? There's a word that I'm looking for when it comes to narcissists. When they've experienced a narcissistic injury, how they will lash out, and they are relentless. And they will lie, and they will destroy their own selves for the sake of bringing you down. And I feel that she is personally trying to bring Turning Point USA down. And she is personally trying to hurt Erica and tear her down because she's always wanted to be Erica. She's always wanted to be her. That's my opinion. And I could be wrong. I could be as wrong as two left shoes. That is highly possible. I am just telling you what I believe and what I see. And it concerns me that there are not more conservatives who are at least at minimum coming out saying, Candace, like, really? This what we doing? This is what we doing? Like, he has a wife. He has children. Why would you say these vile things? And this is aside from her Jew hatred, okay? Listen, I'm not a dispensationalist, okay? I'm not. I have my theological positions. I have my geopolitical thoughts about Israel, and then I have my theological thoughts about Israel. I don't hate Jews. You're not going to make me hate Jews no matter how hard you try. Are there some Jews that probably do some evil and wicked things? Yes, but we deal with individuals. We deal with people as individuals. The nation state of Israel is something separate and distinct from people who are Jewish. And I think it is something is wrong when a person has made it their personal life mission to spew the kind of hatred that we hear her spewing. Hear me clearly and make the proper distinctions. I'm not a Jewish apologist, nor am I caping for Palestine. And to be fair, y'all really don't know. You really don't want to know what I think about the conflict over in the Middle East right now, because you'd be like, dang, April, that's wild. Like, really? Yes. It'd be no different. I'll give you some insight as to my thoughts. This is what I think about what's going on in Israel. It'd be no different if Mexico one day decided to lose their minds and start sending over people across the border to harm us and blow us up and make it their life mission to kill us. Do you know what my response is going to be? Oh, they got to die. Blow the country off the map. That's how I feel. And so I can take my emotions out of it and understand Israel's response. And I understand that there are casualties of war and people die, including women and children and all the fields. Pull out the baby violin all day long and twice on Sunday. But I can guarantee you, if Mexico started wilding out and doing what Hamas and other people were funding them to do to America, you think I'm going to just sit back and be like, what about the babies? What about them? What about them? This is about national preservation at this point. So those are my thoughts on Israel. I ain't going to spend a whole lot of time on that. And it has nothing to do with any sort of biblical prophecy or a theological position. It is a practicality. That's just where I am. Now getting back to Miss Owens Farmer. I think you have to be a really vile person to come out. I mean, so soon. I mean, we've been dealing with this for 2 weeks now, listening to this woman make up lie after lie about how close her and Charlie were at his time of death. No one doubts that they were close in the beginning. Yeah, of course. Everyone knew that. But she is misrepresenting the nature of their relationship toward the end, and Candace was not being called back to Turning Point. That is just not true. That is not true. I have verified that. Don't nobody over there rock with her like that. They don't. It's untrue. I'll say that. Okay? But I will say that I think at one point, after that video I saw today of the chemistry that Candace and Charlie had, she felt some sort of kind of way when he met Erica. And it's not a coincidence that in 2018, when he met Erica, shortly after that, Candace gets ghosted and gone from Turning Point USA. She tried to get married and just move on and figure, I'm going to build a life with the knockoff Charlie Kirk over here and do the best that I can. But I believe that she felt, and she's acting like a jilted lover who could not have what she wanted. And she feels and believes that Turning Point should be in her hands and not in Erica's hands. Like, why else would you say things like, I'm Charlie's best friend, when you've heard his wife say, no, I am Charlie's best friend. Charlie told me everything. There's no aspect of this organization and how it works that I, his wife, is not privy to. And you just got to deal with the fact that I'm the queen bee and not you. I think she's struggling with that. And it is obvious, in my opinion. Did you guys see the movie The Family That Prays? It's a Tyler Perry special. And I'm not a big Tyler Perry fan, but when I tell you, that was one of his good videos. Let's see who's texting me now. Probably telling me. Yes. Oh. believe in that movie, if you've never seen it before, I'll give you the cliff notes. There's a woman who is married to, just a regular blue collar guy. And she starts working for this company and ends up having an affair with the son of the CEO of the company. And in her fantasy mind, she just knew. She just knew she was going to be Mrs. Cartwright, right? She ended up having this man's baby, and they're having this illustrious affair. And then the wife finds out, and then the wife shows up at an event that they're having. No, that's not what happens. They have this standing appointment at the Mayhew Hotel. And the wife shows up and circumvents the rendezvous that was about to happen and flat out tells, what was her name? What was the character? Sanaa Lathan's character name? Was it Erica? I don't know. But she confronts her and she's like, this is why he always got you hiding out in this hotel. You will never be Mrs. Cartwright. Leave my husband alone. Stay away from my family. And the husband, Mr. Cartwright, basically after he gets fired, he tells her, listen, it's over. Okay. Turn in your car keys. And she's like, William, no. The analogy is not an apples to apples analogy, but I believe that at some point, Erica's going to have to come out and tell Candace Owens that you would never be Mrs. Cartwright. You could never be Mrs. Cartwright. You will never be Mrs. Cartwright. Charlie would never show up nowhere with the likes of you. Okay? Dating back to the Project Ponytail days, even now with the ultra perm and it's swinging and she done glammed up. You'll never be Mrs. Cartwright. And I think she's crashing out over that. And I know some of y'all don't like this. I'm just really upset. I'm really bothered because Turning Point USA has done a lot of good. They have some amazing donors. And just like Candace Owens tore down Kim Klacik, I think whenever she feels threatened or she doesn't get her way or the donor class is split, in her mind, I'm the queen bee. And I will take out anybody, and I don't care what method that I got to go through to do it. And I think that's what she is trying to cause division and dissension within that organization. And she's trying to tear Erica Kirk down and cast aspersions so that people actually start believing her lies. Donors pull their money, and she'll just sit back like a narcissist. And she doesn't care if it's ruined her professional reputation. She got what she wanted. That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And so, y'all can take that and do with it as you will. But I believe that she believes that since she helped Charlie start Turning Point, that she was supposed to be named CEO. And it did not happen because she's like, what does this beauty queen know? I was there from the beginning. I was one of the brainchild, the masterminds behind this organization. How dare they name her? She's his wife. Has privileges. I'm confused as to why your husband doesn't shut your mouth down and tell you to go sit down somewhere. Could it be the reason why you were not Mrs. Kirk? Because as much camaraderie and chemistry that she and Charlie had, perhaps Charlie saw the red flags that this woman cannot be controlled. She's a little bit too liberal, and she will never submit to me in the way that I need. And Erica comes preloaded by default with a fundamental biblical understanding of headship. There's no learning curve with her. That's possible. I don't know. But I mean, she got her Tamu, Charlie Kirk. And no one can control her or reel her in. And it could be precisely why she was not Mrs. Charlie Kirk. Charlie wasn't about to put up that foolishness. He's not about to fight you for power. There was no power couple dynamic with Erica and Charlie. She understood that she was his helpmeet, not his doormat, but he loved her and served her in a way that patterns how Christ loved the church. And he gave up himself for her. And she submitted to his headship willingly, staying in her place to the appointed time. God knows what he is doing. You may not think that she's qualified to do this, that, and the third, but she's there. So you got to deal with it. And you just, you ain't got to like it, but it is what it is. And my prayer is that donors will not be distracted by the conspiracy theory lies that are unsubstantiated and that have gone, that can easily be disproven, and that borderline, she'll give just enough truth, tainted with a little bit of lie, to make you question your reality. This is what narcissists are good at. This is what narcissists are good at. So those are my initial thoughts about Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk and this whole drama series of her making these crazy videos and asserting that the bullet came from the ground. And I realize there's a huge segment of the population that believes her lies, and you are free. You can stay over there and believe them. And if I lose subscribers over this, that is fine too. I needed to say what I needed to say as a wife, because like I said, I've got colleagues and professional associates that we are like this. But I'd be darned if something were to happen to one of them or something happened to me, that they would be allowed to say the things that they are saying about me in my death, and I not look at them some kind of way as if, what is wrong with you? You sound like a jilted lover. You like, this ain't normal. This is beyond, oh, we grieve in different ways. This is something else. And it's not okay. And I think it's disrespectful, and I think it's vile. And it's in poor taste, and it's classless. So, in my opinion, Candace has ruined her own professional reputation. I don't know how long she'll be able to keep the sponsors that she has. I don't know what the end game is or what the goal is. I don't know if it's money. I mean, she's got enough money, maybe. I don't know what it is. I just know it needs to stop. And Turning Point is in the process of scrubbing her off that website. And in due time, Erica Kirk will Erica will probably ignore this foolishness, because to give Candace the benefit of the doubt of a response is giving her power. So I understand that. I know what it's like to have to hold your peace, because a narcissist just won't quit. Like, you are on their mind every single day. They wake up thinking about you. They go to bed thinking about you. The breadth of all of their content is obsessed with all things you. I know what that is like. And you have no idea of the restraint of the Holy Spirit that is required to say, I'm not going to respond. I ain't going to say nothing. This person is crazy. And it could be 3 years later, 5 years later, or 7 years later. They will still continue to crash out over what was or what has been. And they're still mad about it. And that's what it sounds like. She's mad at what was, what could have been, and what it ain't going to be. And she needs to get some help. Because at this point, I'm like, you have minor children to raise and a whole husband. How is your husband comfortable with you talking about how Charlie is your best friend? Huh? I mean, you may think that, but to say that publicly and George just sitting back, just letting you say it, I'm like, bruh. Get your wife. Get your wife. She's out of pocket. But she's probably your wife because she's running things. That's all I'm going to say. She's running things and she's running circles around you. I'm about to wrap it up. Here's the last thing that I will say. It concerns me that Christians, Bible-believing Christians, are taking their cues from, how can I say this in a nice way? I mean, because I've said some pretty inflammatory things, so for me to try to be nice now don't really make much sense, but I'm going to try. I'm going to try, okay? Here's how I'll frame it. And I don't mean to be offensive to any of my Catholic brethren that are watching this, but I am a Protestant. I believe that we are saved by grace through faith in the person and work of Jesus. We're not saved by grace and works. We are not saved by affiliation to, the Mother Church of Rome. I don't believe that, and I am not going to lay aside what I believe in my worldview to make you comfortable. So I'm going to say what I'm about to say, and it's going to be what it's going to be. No one who is born from above and is regenerated with the Holy Spirit defects from that to Rome. That doesn't happen. It's just biblically, that round peg cannot fit into that square hole. Okay? Hopefully you're understanding what I'm saying. Meaning, Candace may have professed to be a Christian Protestant persuasion at one point. I believe that she gave a head nod to biblical Christian values, kind of, sort of, but not really. She was more of a churchian, not even, probably more of a Christian in name only. You can go from that to Catholicism, right? But you don't go from being born of the Spirit with a new heart, raised to newness of life, to where you believe the gospel as declared in 1 Corinthians by the Apostle Paul. You don't go from that to Rome. You don't. The only way that happens is if you were already dead in your sin and trespasses and you just added a works righteousness, a works-based religion to the nominal visual or public expression of the Christian faith. You just added Rome to that. And now you're something else. So because of that, it confuses me when I see believers actually listening to the foolishness coming out of this woman's mouth. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying that she can't be right on some things. Yes, that is possible. But I am not going to listen to her, a woman who is clearly, obviously lacking in biblical wisdom and discernment. I'm not going to listen to her and listen to what she's saying. I'm going to take it with a grain of salt, but I'm like, yeah, we need to search out the scriptures and fact check this and ask some deeper questions, because she's not proving any of her allegations. She's just talking out the side of her neck, hoping that you're going to believe it. And some people are being deceived and they are believing it. But the whole situation with the letter that Charlie Kirk wrote, that she's blinded by her hatred for all things Jewish. And I'm not taking cues from I will take in a person's content like that and I'll keep it very surface. But that's the extent that it's going with me. And so that's all I'll have to say about that. So let's go ahead and get to some super chats. My apologies. I don't even know how to get to them. So I see the L factor. Oh, wait. How do I find the super chats? Okay. From righteous to Israelitang, just lying. Why? Wow. Bet you didn't know. From righteous to, I'm not sure the context of what that means, but I thank you for your super chat. I really do. I'm trying to find the other one. Oh, Sister Bernice, thank you so much for your super chat. God bless you for your contribution tonight. I thank you. I don't even, how do you find these things? Y'all don't normally go live from my phone, so I apologize. I don't know what I'm doing. Let me see if, is this it? No. I can filter it. Okay, here we go. All right, I got that one. Sister Diane, thank you for your courageous truth telling. You are welcome, Sister Diane. Listen, I get it. I have told you guys from the beginning that you need to release me from the expectation that we are going to always agree and that every piece of content I make that we're going to be here. It is not a matter of if we are going to disagree. It's just a matter of when. And you need to be okay with that, right? You need to be okay with that. And I understand that there are a lot of people who watch my channel that are diehard Candace fans. Fine. Okay. Well, right now, I don't have a very favorable view of Mrs. Owens, and I've laid out why. I do not appreciate the way she is like, if Charlie was really a dude like that, there's no way you'd come out and say some of the things that you were saying. You just would not. Because let's just go with the narrative that everything she is saying is true. You gave no regard to his children or his wife. Like, that is his one flesh partner. Or if you really felt that way and the truth was the truth, you would lay out all of the receipts and it wouldn't be this speculation. You would say, here is my investigative journalism and here is the undeniable facts of what I'm saying. But we've yet to get that. Instead, we get videos of a woman who sounds like a jilted lover who's having a temper tantrum because she didn't get what she wanted, and now she's mad that she got to settle with Timu, Charlie Kirk, as a spouse. That's what it seems like to me. Who is this messaging me? Oh gosh. Yeah, like I said, I've had issues. I left Blexic because of how Candace handled Kim Klacik. I did. And I never publicly talked about it. I just wrote my letter of resignation and I just was like, I'm moving on. You can say what you want and have whatever feelings you have about Kim in that situation. I just, if you guys remember that situation, the way it was handled, I was just like, this is so messy. This is very mean girl messy. And it was unnecessary. So, I still love Blexic, the organization. But Candace isn't affiliated with them anymore. And it is a matter of record why I resigned back then. And at first, there were times when I was like, did I make the right decision? Well, maybe I should have just ignored it and just did it for the sake of the movement. And I couldn't. I just couldn't. And now to have her out here talking crazy like this about TPUSA as an organization, it's like Candace giveth and then Candace takes away. In one breath, she'll make it seem as if she is not trying to cast doubt on Turning Point, and then in the next breath she'll take it away and cast doubt on Turning Point. I'm like, this is some kind of schizophrenic double-mindedness that is dangerous. And only those who are dialed in, who just want the conspiracy to be true, are not. I mean, we're in a generation where it's conspiracy theory everywhere. Like, I love a good conspiracy theory, right? Like, take me down a vaccine rabbit hole, take me down to a food safety, they trying to kill us rabbit hole. I'm there with you. I am there with you. But this is not one of those. I'm not there with you on this one. I'm just not. And I'm free to have that opinion. and I am free to say the things that I am saying. I am not speaking for Turning Point USA, but what I am saying is emphatically they don't rock with her like that. No one there likes her, and they are trying to be gracious and just ignore her. But eventually, I don't think it's going to be possible. I don't think it's going to be possible. So, anyway, let me just make sure I didn't miss any more super chats. The Crimson Cure did a show Monday about Candace. Did she really? Oh my gosh, Siobhan, I need to go. You know what? I love Crimson Cure. I mean, obviously she's Muslim, I'm Christian, so we have that difference. But I like her because when it comes to analyzing a lot of these things in the culture, me and her are around the same age. Crimson just gets it. And a lot of women can learn a lot from her. And I had no idea that she did a video on this, because she doesn't really release a lot of videos very often. And so YouTube is not really recommending her content to me like they used to. So listen, thank you, Sister Siobhan. I need to go back and I need to watch that. Oh Lord, the phone ringing. Someone said, finally, I was waiting for you to denounce Candace by name. God bless you, sister. It's not. Here's what I will say. This conservative movement, we are in a cultural battle. And so a lot of times you pick your battles because you're like, okay, is this really worth it? Because the greater problem is these Muppet deranged leftists. So you're just like, all right, we're not going to do no friendly fire right now because this is bigger than that. But this directly affects the gains and the conservative movements. And it's gonna be difficult for conservatives not to say something. And it doesn't matter how gracious and charitable you try to be. People are always going to feel some sort of kind of way and be like, oh, she was tamming her down. Well, yeah, I mean, I was a little sharp tonight. I wasn't as sharp as I could have been, because there's a whole lot of things that I wanted to say that I didn't. I was lightweight tonight. I really was. I was very lightweight. I'm trying to be poised in my response, as at the same time saying exactly how I feel. But I mean, I'm not looking to get into a cat fight with anybody. I'm too old. I'm somebody's mama. Okay, I have two 13-year-old twin girls, a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old. I'm like grown. Now I don't have little ones at home, but I'm grown. So I'm not trying to start a beef, but somebody has to say something. And at this point, I can't worry about the self-preservation. Well, what would it look like if I say something about Candace? Like, who is she? Like, she's just another funky image bearer like me. She put on her pants the same way I do. Hers might cost a little more. But when a person is doing something that's just vile and wrong, I reserve the right to express my opinion on it. And if you don't like it, that is fine. I respect your right to disagree. And it's going to be what it's going to be. Every door that is opened for me is because the Lord has opened the door. And if doors get closed for me because I'm saying what I'm saying, then the door ain't supposed to be open. I walk through the doors that the Lord opens. So I can't worry about that. Yeah, you navigate in wisdom, but it is what it is. I don't hate Candace. I would like for her to stop and move on to something else and actually make meaningful content that's educational and transformative and get off of this conspiracy theory train. That's what I would want, but I'm not her producers. And her staff is probably afraid of her and too scared to say something, because Candace the type, if you say anything, she'll just come after you. She'll put the full weight and power behind destroying you. That's what she does. So you just kind of gotta expect it. But I will say this. I've noticed that and I have a lot of respect. I don't always agree with Brandon Tatum, a whole lot. Like, theologically, we don't agree on a lot of things. Brandon is trying in his own way to be like, you out of control. That's his friend. And I have friends that are also content creators. And if they were to do something that I did not like, I would have a private conversation with them. I ain't afraid of my friends. I'm going to pick up the phone and be like, yo, what's wrong with you? Why are you saying these things? You need to pull that video down. Like now. You're out here wilding. Because I love my friends. I'm not afraid of my friends. I love my friends. And I would hope my friends would call me and be like, sis, you was wilding. You was wilding that last video. I mean, like, this part was good, but this part was a little strange. And I would just be like, okay, I hear you. You're probably right. Or I'd be like, I disagree. But at the end of the day, I got a husband in there. It's his job to reel me in. And that's what Candace's husband should be doing for her. Why aren't you reeling your woman in? Are you afraid of her? I mean, come on. She don't weigh about $110. 110 maybe 105. She kind of thin. I ain't gonna lie though. I'd like to be that thin again. I really would. Okay, like this midlife weight, I mean, it looked nice in some areas, but there's other places I'd be like, oh, if I can just get rid of this, I'll be good. But it is what it is. It's coming down. It's coming down. All right, y'all. I've been on here an hour. I said what I need to say. So, share this with your conspiracy loving friends who, like, it's interesting, to hear what this chick got to say. They're going to hate it. Oh, Lord. You got to be leery. Like, you can't question nothing she's saying. Nothing. Like, you're just supposed to just accept it because she said it. Since when did she become the arbiter of truth? How does someone who defects from product... No, I ain't going to say it. Anyway, all right, guys. I got some phone calls to return. Until next time, stay bold. How do I say it? Do I say stand firm, stay bold, or stay bold and stand firm? I can't remember. But anyway, stay unshakable. Okay? Grace and peace. Love you guys. Did I end